What's up, guys? I'm having another libertarian on tonight. Welcome back, though. It's been a couple of weeks since I had a show because of the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C., which we are going to touch on that a little bit. But just to give an introduction to our awesome guest tonight, we have the awesome Martha Bueno, who has run for office, for commissioner, and then she's also got tons of awesome business adventures. She's done a little bit of everything. She's been a co-host for a podcast. She's just a cool person and she's beautiful. So I had to bring her up here. Yo, Martha, what's up? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantabulous. Thanks for having me on. This is going to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. So I guess maybe I didn't do you enough justice, but I would love for you to just give a quick introduction for yourself. Tell us what you're about, what brought you to Liberty, and why you're the most punk rock guest I've had on in at least 2 weeks.
So a little bit about myself. I joined the Liberty movement sometime after 9/11 when, as most people, I was like a total Republican because my parents were, and I had no idea there was anything else. And then I discovered the Libertarian Party and I've been in it since. I'm a lifetime member. I dropped out of the Libertarian Party briefly, still kind of around it. I think the Liberty movement is so much bigger than the party. And I was elected to office in 2018. I served for 4 years on a community council, and then I decided to run for a major seat as Miami-Dade County Commission. Made only second place, didn't quite get there, but I made headlines as the first candidate for office that used OnlyFans as a platform. So
that's spicy. I like it.
Yeah, it was really spicy. I did a video where I talked dirty to my opponent about his campaign contributions. So real dirty. And then they removed off of OnlyFans one of my videos because it was too spicy for OnlyFans, and it was when I was shooting guns. So fun times.
Actually, yeah, that reminds me. I need to get up on this because my OnlyFans drops on June 9th, 6/9. And
interesting date.
Yeah, I'm going to be showing people how to properly clean their rifles until I get kicked off. So,
you'll probably get kicked off day one. They do not allow anything gun related.
I'm fully expecting that, but whatever, it'll be cool. Anyways, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that was pretty much it. Beyond that, I've run a few companies. That's what I've done since I was 17. And my latest venture, I just closed it down because the state of Florida is in the process of making Delta 8 and other cannabinoids illegal. So I'm just going to revamp that up and probably hit that again. But, in the meantime.
That's crazy. So where is Florida on all the weed stuff? Because I know they had, like you said, they had Delta 8, they don't allow even home grow. It's not even they don't even allow medicinal marijuana in Florida, correct? Or do they?
We do have medicinal marijuana. We have 22 licenses for medicinal marijuana. It was supposed to grow with however many people we have, and that's just been a cluster. We no longer have any Florida companies. Everything is out of state. You can't home grow. So even if you have a medical card and you put a seed into the ground, you can go to jail. It's a disaster. So a lot of people turned to Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, hemp-based cannabinoids. And Florida was the leader in that. We actually last year made it so you had to be 21 and over to buy. We made the packaging standardized and regulated. And then the legislatures less than 6 months after that went through decided to make the entire industry illegal, which now DeSantis is saying that he might veto it, but he wants to veto it in favor of making sure that we don't get recreational cannabis. So he's trying to work out a deal, as politicians do.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. He's already killed the industry. Tons of people already going out of business, myself included. Wow. So it's just it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, these politicians are just in it for themselves. He took $500,000 from the recreational cannabis group to make recreational cannabis legal. And then now he's going against them. I mean, it's just so dirty. And I flew up to Tallahassee. Mind you, Miami is 9 hours by car away from Tallahassee. So it's not like you could just go there. And plane tickets are $600. It's crazy.
Right.
So I flew up there 4 or 5 times, I don't even remember anymore, and to fight it, and, they didn't care. They saw all these people there with, like, medical conditions that were like, "Please don't do this, please don't do this," and they're like, "Pass," and then, like, I see now this, like, online, people are just commenting like, "It had overwhelming support from the public." No, it didn't. The public literally went to Tallahassee where nobody lives there. I mean, it's like this mini town in the middle of nowhere. It's closer to the Georgia border than to most Floridians. And yeah, we were not in favor of it. They steamrolled us anyways, and here we are. So
Yeah, you know who's in favor of it is probably the medical companies and
mhm.
these super conservatives that want to abolish everything that they don't like. Um,
More than the conservative. It is the medical
yeah, well, yeah,
marijuana
sure.
community, but it's also has a lot of backing, a lot of funding from the, alcohol industry and big pharma.
Mhm.
So it turns out big pharma is not a fan, and one of the things that they put in that bill to ban Delta 8 was, THCV, which if you know anything about these cannabinoids, THCV has been studied in rats and shown to decrease your hunger and increase focus. So it's actually like a weight loss preventative. And
Yeah.
so, of course, it goes against things like Ozempic. So it also helps with like diabetes. It helps regulate your insulin. I mean, it is from what the initial like things that we've been seeing, it's actually really, really a good substance.
I'm
And
gonna
so,
make you a pitch. I'm gonna
go
make
for it.
you a pitch, Martha. It's the only time I'm gonna do this for you. But um, there's this beautiful place where Delta 8,
I
Delta
know where you're
9,
going
and
with this.
Delta 10 are all legal.
Mhm.
Um, and the rivers flow with gold. There's freedom, more freedom than you know what to do with, and it's a beautiful place. It's the free state of New Hampshire. Have you thought about maybe moving your business to the free state of New Hampshire?
You know, the problem with New Hampshire is New Hampshire has a lot of winter.
It's
And I
true.
am a tropical human being. I do not do well. I actually did a program in Colorado for 9 months out of the year. It's called the Leadership Program of the Rockies, and I had to fly to Colorado for 9 months. During the summer, it was fantabulous, but I was there, December, January, February, March, and I was like, "You know what I don't like? I don't like snow. I don't like cold. I don't do well." I didn't even know how to like defrost the car that I rented. It's bad. Like, listen, I'm not winter people, okay?
Okay. I mean, Spike Cohen had a very similar side with you. I talked to him a while back about the same thing. But so like I lived in Colorado for like 15 years. So I know what you mean. Like it, but the good thing about Colorado is you get like all four seasons in one day sometimes. So it might be cold in the
That
morning,
is
but
true.
like in the evening, it can be like you can be sweating your ass off wearing a tank top. That doesn't really happen in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, you actually have all four seasons. Like your winter is actually winter and your summer is actually summer
That
and it's
sounds
hot and
miserable.
muggy. Florida, I love Florida. I actually had considered moving to Florida for a while. I almost moved to Clearwater. And I love everything about that whole area. Like yeah, Florida's great. But you guys will always be living in our footsteps as the second freest state. And it's unfortunate that you guys are losing your right to have Delta 8, Delta 9. And I sincerely hope that he does veto that bill. That would, I mean, it sucks that like he's trying to play the backroom deal thing. But like it's atrocious. Like
It is.
I don't know. Like how long have you been in that like type of business? It's been a while, right? You've been like a cannabis advocate. You know
Well,
have
I
helped.
only started it recently. Like, so I was a cannabis advocate. I've been doing that for 10 years and I just love this plant. I didn't realize it. I was like, it's weird because I'd never smoked until I was 35. Like, until like I
Nice.
really joined the libertarian movement and everybody was smoking around me. I was like, hmm. And I was going through a divorce. So I was like, I should probably get my medical marijuana card so that like I can't lose my kids in this. So I went and I got it. And my doctor was like, well, tell me about like your health issues.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, I have arthritis and I have this thyroid thing. And she's like, you should actually try it. And she gave me the cancer dose and it like saved
Nice.
my thyroid, helped me with all these ailments. I don't take any pharmaceutical drugs anymore. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic for all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
beyond starting to I was an advocate for it from before, but then all of a sudden I'm like, and I'm using it. So I wanted to grow. I have a farm and I wanted to grow cannabis and I wanted to apply for the license. And when it was available to me, all of a sudden the license costs over $1 million every year to renew. And to
Wow.
apply without any guarantee of getting it was almost $200,000. So they priced me out of the market. And I was like, well, I started a hemp farm, and that was another disaster because Florida decided that if your hemp came in a little bit hot, you couldn't remedy it. You couldn't send it to a lab to be converted into CBD and like lower the amounts of THC in it. You had to burn it. So that's not a viable path. Anybody that's ever tried to grow something, and I mean, it's Florida. I'm in Miami. You know, like an acre here is like $200,000, where you could like grow this in Kentucky for like $2,000 an acre.
I mean, or Maine. Maine grows a shit ton of weed, and it's not that expensive to have land up there. I'm sure they don't have they definitely don't have the restrictions that Florida does either. But man, I can't even imagine. They've insane.
Just screwed me out of the business. So then I'm like, you know what? Like CBD based, cannabinoids. And we were the leader in that. I'm like, how could they possibly screw me on this one? And they did. And so
they found a way. They found a way, as the government usually does. And that sucks. So like when you were running your campaign, it was for Miami-Dade Commissioner District 10.
Wow. Yes. You did your research.
I remember because I supported your campaign. But did you kind of like bring a lot of this stuff up? Like what were your kind of like goals and missions running for that position? I'm sure like this was one of them, but like, you are really like all over the map with this stuff. So
I know I'm all over.
I don't know, what can a commissioner do even for weed in Florida?
Not much.
Let's be honest, right?
Not much. And I have to say that the Republicans approached me because so, if anybody's watching this that is going to run for office, do not declare early. Major mistake. I've learned my lesson. So I declared 2 years before the election.
Oh, wow.
Which had its bad things, had its good things. And I got approached by somebody in the Republican Party, and they're like, we pay people like you to run as a Republican. At the time, I was still registered as a libertarian. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, we'll give your campaign like $250,000 or something like that. And I was like, excuse me? That's more money than most libertarians. That's more money than I raised with,
I don't know the last libertarian campaign that wasn't a presidential campaign that had $250K coming into it.
So I went home and I was like, I thought about it, and I called up my really dear friend who's also a libertarian. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And she's like, you got to go with your principles. And I was like, let me call them. So I called back and I was like, hey, can I talk about cannabis if I become a Republican? And they're like, no. So I ran as a libertarian, came in second. But the thing, commissioners, what they really do, they have the budget. They have Miami-Dade County's entire budget at their disposal. They control it completely. They decide how much our taxes are going to be. I mean, they do all the work, and then the mayor just can either veto or sign it. So it's really a powerful seat. There's 13 commissioners, and they control, currently our budget is over $11 billion a year. 11 billion. Like, it's insane amount. Insane. Crazy.
And
so
Miami's broken up into so many different districts, right? So like each one of these districts gets this astronomical budget to work with too.
Well, that's for the entire Miami-Dade County.
Oh, okay.
Divided. I mean, you're talking about 13 districts with an 11 billion. That's almost $1 billion per district.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
That is crazy. That is insane. Yeah.
And it grows every year. And if you look at our budget, it is just so absolutely disgusting. Like we now have a heat officer. Like, I can't tell you what the heat officer does. It's like, oh, well, we have climate change, so we need a heat officer. What does this heat? She makes $250,000 a year to like, what? Look outside and be like, it's hot. Like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, again, I was like, we can get this budget under control because people lose their homes in Miami because they can't afford the property taxes. So it's like, you have to pay for these homeless people, for example. And if you don't pay, then you're going to lose your home. It's just...
That happens all the time. Like, so when I was running for sheriff, even like there was like, I got to talk to so many people. One of the people specifically, well, there's just like this old lady. She was a widow. She was like 78 years old. Her husband passed like 4 or 5 years before, and she was still living on Social Security, hadn't paid her property taxes in a little while. It wasn't that much property taxes that she owed. I think it was like $1,200, which is nothing. And they were going to evict her from her house that she's had for over 30 years because she hadn't paid $1,200 in property tax.
That happens all over this country.
It does.
That's one of the things that libertarians, we should really be focusing on these issues, because the reality is most people don't know that. And the only reason that I learned that originally, so I had a baby when I was 21. But when I was 20, I moved in with my grandfather so that I didn't have to pay. He's like, you can move in with me. All I need you to do is like take care of like the expenses of the house. And his house, he had bought it and paid it off. Like it was paid for. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Like electricity, insurance, like what else? And he's like, oh, and property taxes. And same thing, my grandfather wasn't able to pay him because he and my grandmother had been on Social Security. And then when she passed, his Social Security went, like it was not enough. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh my God. So if he doesn't pay this, he loses his entire, and they will sell your home and then like pay themselves and then give you whatever's left over. And oftentimes they'll just auction it for like nothing. So it's such a horrible system. There's gotta be a better way.
They literally just steal your shit and sell it for like, not that much. Like I actually have a friend who he's a capitalist, obviously, but he purchased a couple houses in Oklahoma that were being auctioned off by the state. He got 2 houses for $65K and he ended up renting them out and basically paying off what he owed in like 1 year with that, just by renting them out. But this happens all over the country. It's not like a small thing. And again, like you actually did very well.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, for a libertarian, I got
over 20%. That is very good. Okay. You got like what?
First 21? Time that I actually had to run too. So I had no idea what I was doing. No idea whatsoever.
Nobody knows what they're doing when they're running for office for the first time, especially. And sometimes they don't for the second and third time. I mean, look at Joe Biden. He still doesn't even know what he's doing up there. So
that's a whole other case though. I mean, Joe Biden.
It is. You're right. Dementia doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count. I think, like libertarians, we don't know what we're doing. We don't have like that. We don't have the machine. Republicans and Democrats have a machine. We don't. We just kind of wing it. And we'll like launch and not have websites and not have like donation links. I mean, we definitely need to like step up our game. But
training is like badly suffering right now. Like we definitely need to train people to like actually like understand what they're signing up for. Not even for like running for office, but like even if like you have like a state chapter that needs a county treasurer or a secretary. There's nothing like that. People are just like thrown into that. And then they like, unfortunately get like thrown under the bus because they don't understand what state law is and when they need to file things. And then they get in trouble with back fines and all this stuff. This happens all over the country with LP affiliates because there's no training that goes on anymore. So
not only is there no training, but we're generally not like bureaucratic little animals, like I feel like the other ones, the other parties are better at this. It's like you have to file on this day and you have to have these reports and everything has to be by the book. And libertarians were like, you know what, who cares? Like, yeah, whatever. So we generally have a harder time with those things. And I would love to see more training. I'd love to see like people who are good at that, like offer to help in campaigns. I think that there's a lot of room for us to grow, but definitely we should be looking at our local seats. And another thing that libertarians, we don't like to do is to like grow from one seat to the next. We want to just, I'm going to run for president. And it's like, what have you done before? I mean, even Jo Jorgensen, who I helped with her campaign, she had run for vice president in 1996. And then this time around in 2020, she ran for president. It's like, well, in the meantime, from 96 to 2020, in, those 24 years, did you run for another office? And it's like, no, I didn't. Well,
no, she just helped Harry Brown out, with his VP thing, but that was it. I mean, and let's be honest, like, I don't know, VP now with LP plays a different role than it did back then too. Like Spike Cohen kicked ass last year. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about our VP this year.
Is it that bad or that good? I mean,
no, it's that bad. I'm not going to, shit on him too bad. But anyways, so you're from Cuba.
My parents are Cuban. I've actually
never parents are Cuban. Okay, but you did live in Venezuela for a little while. So tell me how you used that experience to translate into giving Liberty Florida, because Florida is a very diverse state. Like there's so many Cuban, Venezuelans, Latina in general, and like there's really not a lot of Latina voices in the Liberty movement from what I've seen. Like I think like it's a very white organization. All right. Like
very male dominated organization.
Yeah, that's true too. Like that is absolutely true.
The few women we have kind of rise to the top because it's easy, because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many dudes, you know, it's like you're in a
Right.
competition with all these guys and people are like, oh, look, a woman, yay. So yeah, Miami, I like to call like Miami the capital of Latin America.
Mm.
And it's so true. If you come to Miami and then you drive north, once you get to Fort Lauderdale, it feels like America. Anything south of Fort Lauderdale, you're just like, what is this? It is so Hispanic. So my parents were or are Cuban, and my dad was a political prisoner. He attempted to escape and was given a jail sentence for trying to leave his country. And so my mom broke him out of jail. It's like this. I love this story, but whatever.
Wow. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom broke him out of jail, and he swam from this town right across from Guantanamo, the
He
naval base.
literally swam.
Yeah, yeah. He swam
That is
from
that is the that is
in the
awesome.
middle of the night. It was like about a mile. I guess my dad was a good swimmer back then.
That is
I
the
had,
most
like
Latino thing I've ever heard, by the way.
yeah, he exited through an outhouse. So like
That's
ew.
incredible. What in
Yeah.
the world?
Yeah. I mean,
Holy
like
crap.
wild stuff, like the things people will do for freedom. So he made it to this little island in front of Guantanamo that is also patrolled by American soldiers, and they like helped him up, and they're like, you know, welcome to America. And they flew him on the trash plane once a week. They'd fly from New Jersey, from like some from some base in New Jersey to Cuba to pick up their trash and bring it back. I guess they can't like do anything with it there. And they would also deliver supplies on that plane. So my dad flew back on the trash plane.
Wow.
Anyways, long story short, my parents ended up in Venezuela because my dad started a business there. And so growing up in Venezuela, I would hear my dad tell Venezuelans, like, this isn't okay. Like, what's happening here, I saw it happen in Cuba, and it's happening again.
Mhm.
And we need to like wise up, and we need to fight back. And my dad's Venezuelan friends would be like, Cubano, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, this is Venezuela. We have more petroleum than anywhere else on the planet. We're never going to be that country. We're never going to be Cuba. Like, what do you mean? And lo and behold, they became Cuba. They became actually worse than Cuba. They are an outpost of the Cuban regime. And
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's there. You've got like Russia's in Cuba. You've got Hamas. You've got Hezbollah. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a disaster. And, you know, now I'm like, I see these things happening here in the US, and I'm like,
That's what I was going to ask. Like, yeah.
this reminds me of what I experienced in Venezuela, starting with like hyperinflation in Venezuela. We're not in hyperinflation in the United States. But, you know, I was just having this conversation earlier with my husband. He's like, you know, you got to save in dollars. And I'm like, well, you know, in Venezuela, people used to be like, the Venezuelan bolivar was like really strong, and people had all their funds in the Venezuelan bolivar. And then when hyperinflation hit, people who were mega multi-billionaires lost a lot, lost everything. And it's like, you know, the problem with the dollar is it's being inflated, and the inflation rate is like escalating, because it's like, oh, well, it's only a 2%, or it's only 6%, or it's only, but it's 6% over last year, 6% over the year before, 6% over the year before, 6% over the. And so like when you look at like receipts from the 90s, you know, you could buy maybe a McDonald's hamburger for like 69 cents on Wednesdays or whatever that was.
Right.
You know, now you can't buy that, or 29 cents. You know,
now they're like $3 for a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Right. I have 4 kids. They're like, can we go to McDonald's? Like, no, no, I don't have money for that. Like, it's an actually expensive meal now. Like, no.
Right.
So yeah, like your money starts dwindling and you don't realize it. You don't realize how quickly everything changes, and you don't realize how your freedoms are being impacted until one day you wake up and it's like, it's gone. So, you know, there's a lot of things that you can compare the two. And unlike Venezuela, we don't have huge reserves of oil. We have the petrodollar, but we also know that other countries are trying to knock us off of that. So just, you know, be careful. And we need to fight back for our freedoms. Nobody's going to do it for us. We're all expecting some like crazy, you know, Malay to come here and like save us. And even Malay in Argentina, he's doing great, but it's not the same. You know, we have to fight for ourselves. You can't, like, even I see people like, Trump is going to save us. No, like you need to save you, and you need to work in your neck of the woods to bring as much freedom as possible and not let go of the freedoms you have. It's just,
I actually have a guy coming on my show on Wednesday and this next week to talk about Malay, and he's very familiar with like Argentina. Like, he's been there a million times. His wife is from Argentina, and he was actually on Tom Woods talking about all this stuff. So I'm really excited to talk about that. But you have like just a different perspective, and like I said, like you are able to talk to people like in literally one of the most diverse areas of the entire country, and that's awesome. And you've already run for office. Like you're
I don't
doing
think I'll
great.
do it again.
No.
No.
So when I run for president, you're not going to be my VP?
Probably
Come
not.
on. We got to make America emo again, Martha. Me and you. Let's do it.
That sounds lovely. And I am happy to do your Hispanic outreach, but I don't think I can ever again. I mean, maybe, but I'm just exhausted.
I will need a Spanish translator. I'm trying to get more.
I don't do translation like that though. That's like an actual, like people think that just because you speak 2 languages, you can translate, but listening and speaking at the same time is wild. It's like a talent that you have to have.
You can just speak talking points. You don't even need to say what I'm saying. Just like do your own thing.
No, if we translate your speech beforehand, then totally.
It's like the sign language translators that the police departments hire that aren't actually even translating sign language, that don't even speak sign language. It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Oh my God, those are that's horrible though. When they do hire you. It is funny, but because
that's the state function. That's how it works. So
everything the state does, it does poorly.
Yeah,
everything, literally everything.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna pull up a video real quick that I just grabbed on the side here. You came to the punk rock karaoke party down there in DC when we were there, and you got this awesome video. So I wanted to play it real quick, and not the whole thing,
Afro Man,
but it was a good time for sure.
Yeah,
he wasn't gonna his brother's wife, but Hunter smoked some crack, then he drank some brew, yeah, then he fucked his brother's wife's sister too. Shout out to Bangs Records, let it drop, brother, they up in here. Much love to y'all, man, thank y'all for putting this song over 2 million views in a couple of weeks.
I love this song.
It's so much fun.
Hey, I see you. Hey, la da 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 da.
I love this grip too.
I know.
But Hunter got high. Yeah, he wasn't gonna show all those pics. But Hunter got high. He should have let Hillary bleach his hard job. Yeah, Hunter got high. Hunter got high. Yeah.
It was so fun. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if people wanted to see it, they can go to your Twitter and find it there, right? I mean, it's on your Twitter. I've shared it too. Oh, you're a little blurry there again too.
I don't know what happened with my camera. I'm
trying
to figure it out, but whatever.
It's all good. But that was a good time. We had fun. What did you think about Afro Man and the whole party in general? Did you have a good time?
It was an awesome party. It was really good. I mean, honestly, you put on a great show. And Afro Man, I mean, it's Afro Man. Like, how can you not love this man? Especially like everything they did. That song, Lemon Pound Cake, and like what they did to his gate and all that stuff. I mean, it was just what a great time. Seriously. I think we need to do way more of these things because, you know, like we're so serious at the Libertarian Party. Right. We're like, oh my God, this state sucks. Yes. So when we have somebody like Afro Man, who's just awesome, we need to do way more. We need to like put on all of our, you know, and support our libertarian artists.
So that's kind of like part of the purpose of the emo caucus is like we want to do more fun stuff, not take it as seriously, which is hilarious because we like had like a full slate of endorsements for the DC, all the elections and the presidential race and all this stuff, right? But like I'm not trying to tell people how to vote. I'm trying to have fun with it. So like, you know what I mean? Like we're not like, we just think, you know, we have a little bit of everyone mixed in with our group. We're not on some kind of faction war thing going, you know, like everyone fights with each other. We just like kind of vibe. We just talk about music. We love art.
Fighting.
yeah, like we if you're going to impact the culture, you're going to do it more through art than through being elected to your local like county affiliates treasurer position. You know what I mean? Like it's just true. And like I've been a musician, I've seen it happen in real life, and there's tons of like well-known musicians that are constantly like under the attack of getting canceled because of free speech and not being woke enough, or just a couple years ago not getting a shot. They couldn't play in half the venues in America.
Like Rage Against the Machine, that to me was one of the wildest ones, where it was like Rage Against the Machine, and then but get your COVID vax or you can't come see us. It's like,
right.
I'm not sure what you guys stand for anymore.
we need to do more fun stuff. We need to make this like, obviously we have like the party system. It's not all fun to go to these freaking conventions, right? But like we can like break up the monotony by having some fun events every night. Like Friday night was the Enemy of the State party. That was a great time. I got to DJ that too. Then Saturday, and then Sunday I DJ'd the gala, but like nobody was there because business went till like 2:00 in the morning.
Disaster. I did go to the gala. I got all dressed up for the gala, and I show up and I'm like, there's like 5 people in the room.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. It was even harder being the DJ for 5 hours and just like no one being there.
Nobody's there.
But there were like a couple kids that had a great time. Like small children came out and they were just dancing their heart out on the floor. Made my night a lot better. So that was cool.
Nice. That's the thing that I think libertarians too, we bring our kids to the convention, and I think that that's a great thing. I saw a whole bunch of kids out in the hallway, people that had brought their kids, and they were like selling things or like running back and forth together. I think it's great. You know what? Your kids generally don't have those freedom friends. So we need to bring also, I'm being annoying at this last convention. I was super annoying to all my like friends that are couples or whatever. I'm like, y'all need to outbreed the left. So let's go.
Right.
Which True. I think is wonderful. We need all these liberty babies. So I am the annoying, I don't know. I'm just like, come on, y'all got to beat me. I had 4. Let's go. We need more liberty people.
Kumbaya Libertarian says best part of convention was emo caucus. I agree. And I'm biased, obviously, but like this is what libertarian unity looks like. You know what I mean? Like we're just having fun.
Been DJing before Trump. I mean, that would have been like a nice party. Maybe we would have gotten out of the booing and all have been like chilling, vibing, maybe a little smoke sesh. Who knows?
Who knows?
We certainly needed it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone could have smoked except for Rechtenwald. That would have been great.
I still haven't watched that video. I want to because
it's now. I mean, you can, but I had a hard time watching it the 2 times that I did. So, poor guy.
I almost feel like it's a great advertisement for my edibles. It's like, hey,
oh yeah,
don't take
your edibles. By the way, is it your fault?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you like, you can dose mine. I don't think he could dose his. That's for sure. But yeah, it was wild to see a vice presidential candidate. I heard about it all over the convention. It was like, why would you take an edible of all things before the like biggest night of your life? I don't get it.
I mean, hey, you know what? A couple of years ago, we all laughed when Gary Johnson did it. So I'm not going to hold him to.
He was never high while he was doing
I mean, he did it on the news several times. He definitely
wasn't high. He's goofy.
He is a goofy motherfucker. That's for sure.
He's goofy. Like,
and I'm not.
Jokes were just like goofy because he's a goofy guy, but like he was never actually high. Like he would joke. The one that he did that I thought was hilarious was like it was like marijuana causes like heart problems, and he pretended to like be having a heart attack on stage. That wasn't him being high. That's just him being goofy.
And I won't be too harsh, but like he's definitely getting enough shit from everybody that like I don't need to do that. So
for sure.
But at the same time, like I agree, like that shouldn't have happened. That probably honestly tipped the scales for the next night, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Yeah. Maybe it didn't, but I think it did. I really think it did.
I wasn't voting either which way, so but I think so. I think it's really hard to sell yourself as this responsible person who's going to go out there when you couldn't even do it at this night. So yeah, I think it was like a bad choice. And we all have those nights.
My guy didn't get it either way. Like, so I wasn't going for either of the last 2 people as my first choice.
Who's your guy?
I mean? So I was a Lars fan. So I was a big fan of Lars Mapstead. So But
but now we have, like, here's the thing. I wasn't going to put my 2 cents for any of the candidates because Mike Tremont is here in Florida, and he was great with he's a good friend, and he was great in my campaign. And I've known Chase for a long time, and I really like him as a person. And I've known Lars for a long time, and I really like him as a person. So it was very difficult. Like, people were like, "Who are you going for?" I'm like, "I'm not a delegate, so whoever you guys choose, that's great." But then, Trump came to the convention, and he kind of sweet talked us.
right.
And
I mean, to me, people people forget. Like I just made, actually, I'm gonna pull it up real quick because it's true. Um, People forget that it was just within the last couple of years that Trump supported expanding background checks on firearms, banning bump stocks. He lifted up Fauci instead of firing him, was behind Project Warp Speed, didn't end any wars, dropped more bombs in 4 years than Obama did in 8, reauthorized the NSA surveillance authority, created more red flag laws, had $5 trillion in more in new spending, and he
absolutely
championed
terrible.
lockdowns.
He's
So it's
absolutely
like,
terrible. And here's
yeah,
the thing.
and this
We're
is a
going to
short
get him
list.
or Biden. There's no
Right.
world where Chase is going to be president this
No.
time around. There's
No
no
chance.
world.
There's no
We don't
world
have
where he
Hmm?
gets 4% of the vote. Like,
There's
that's
no
not
world where he
happening
gets
either.
4%. Exactly.
No.
So
Yeah.
I've been a libertarian long enough to know that despite my absolute hatred of the system, despite my absolute hatred of both candidates, I mean, 4 years ago, I was going around like, we've got this guy that's been accused of molesting these people, and this guy who's accused of, like it. Either way, it's bad. So, as libertarians, we're very much purists, and I wish that we could be that way, but I think at some point we need to understand that we have to move the needle forward. And that's why I keep going back to, we need to do things within our own communities, but also we need to become relevant enough so that the major parties come to us, as they did, except for Biden, of course, and that they want to push our issues forward. So a lot of libertarians aren't old enough to remember the Ross Perot,
Right.
Bill Clinton, and the first George Bush election in 1992. Ross Perot, if he wouldn't have dropped out, and that's some other thing, that's like some conspiracy that the CIA had, information on him and made him drop out. But if you recall that election, he forced, because he went around the country talking about the issues that mattered to him, he forced Bill Clinton to balance the budget for that year with Newt Gingrich. So when we push a narrative, they have to respond, and they will. So right now, the narrative is we want Ross free. And, I understand that a lot of people are like, Martha, that's like such a little thing. Why do you care about Ross being free when look at the country? And I get that.
I mean, I don't think it's a little thing. My opinion on the matter is that, like, that's if he does it, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
My problem is that, like, he's already had the opportunity to do it once and shut it down, and he's also promised a lot of things that he didn't actually follow through with. So I don't trust
absolutely.
him. You know what I mean? So I just don't trust him.
You can trust a politician as far as you can throw him, and Trump is a little heavy, so I can't even throw him an inch. But the thing is, he didn't promise to free Ross the first time. He didn't say it on TV. He didn't say it, at a convention. He just didn't do it. And it's very possible that he didn't do it for many reasons. So I don't want to put that out there. I do think that if he pardons Ross, and just for like those that don't know, Ross built a website, and he was given 240 years in jail for building the most libertarian thing that has ever existed since the creation of this great nation. Ross created a true free market that used something that is completely other than the US dollar, and not a single item on that website was ever taxed by the United States government. And so he's spending 240 years in jail, a death sentence by jail if we can't get him out. And I'm like, I
think this is his best shot. Like, over the next, couple of years, this is his shot. Like, I fully support, like, any coalition to try to get him out. I've met, his mom, Lynn. She's probably going to be at Porkfest again in a couple weeks.
Unless she gets sick. She was supposed to be at the Libertarian Convention, and she got sick.
Oh, yeah. Everyone got sick at the convention, so I'm still coming back from that. But
she's actually with Ross this weekend. So I do know that Ross now knows that Trump said that for sure. And
awesome.
I think that they keep their hopes You know, they're always hopeful, but I don't think that they're like, yay, we're going to be free in a few months. Just because she lived through that the last time around and Trump didn't pardon him. So it's very gut wrenching. But I mean, he could be free potentially in the next few months. And, you know, people don't get my obsession with this topic, but he is, to me, not only is he a hero, but he is what I think is our modern day Neo. He broke the matrix. He was able to do this thing. And because of him, Bitcoin today is what it is.
Yeah.
There was nowhere to spend your Bitcoin. There was, you know, you have to think back to 2010. You had to buy Bitcoin on some trading card website, Mount Gox. I mean, it was just, it was so wild.
I mean, combine this with, you know, I mean, Roger Ver going, you know what I mean? And, you know, obviously there's Assange and Snowden and all these people. Like, we have a lot of people that were like really pushing to get free. He called out, obviously, Ross by name specifically. But, you know, it really is like not that much of a stretch. Like, if we can get Ross freed, Roger Ver and Ian Freeman are probably next, right?
He
you
did
would hope
say that
so.
he's behind Bitcoin now. And actually, Trump's campaign is accepting Bitcoin for
No
donation.
way. That's amazing. I didn't even know that. That's cool. I mean, and this kind of ties into like another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, which was at the beginning of the show, you had said, which I agree with, liberty is bigger than the party. And I kind of want to see like what your thoughts are there. Like, what do you think the best step forward for libertarians are that, you know, like, you don't want to mess around with party politics, but they want to contribute in some way? What kind of advice would you offer these people?
Push that freedom every day, every which way you can, in any way you can. So, you know, there's this thing that I think as libertarians, we're like, we have to do it through the party, but every movement that has ever worked has been decentralized, and a party is a centralized entity that then pushes out the ideas from the top. It's a top-down institution. And have we not learned our lessons? You know, are we not like anarchist type? Are we not like this, you know, guerrilla, let's go out there and do this? So I'm just very big on decentralization. Any movement that is not controlled, they cannot topple us. So rather than, you know, and yes, we need a party to, like, you know, promote these ideas and put candidates forward, but that's not really who any of us, like, unless you're like, I want to run for office. Like, it's not something that it's not us, right? It's like, we believe in freedom. So use your voice. Use what you have, whatever skill you have in whatever field you have. We have people like Maj Toure with his Black Guns Matter, and he's training people to use weapons, people that are scared to, women. If you know how to, like, if you have a skill, if you know how to grow food, most of the population today don't know how to grow anything. If you know how to do that, get out there and grow some food, teach people in your community, maybe do some community gardens, like whatever you can do in your neck of the woods to push freedom forward. That's what you should be doing. Forget about running for office. It's a waste of time and energy. You're not going to beat the machine until you get way more people. We haven't reached critical mass yet. We're getting close, but we're not there yet.
Something that I always tell people too is like, anarchy doesn't look like what people think it does. It usually looks like homesteading and just living peacefully by yourself and trying to stay away from the government. And, you know, there's a lot of places that you can make this happen. Homesteading is something that happens all over the country. You know, I actually, there's a friend of mine that runs the Garnet School here in New Hampshire, who his entire premise around Garnet School is they're a school that teaches people how to homestead. Everything you could think, like making soap, like going out into the woods and finding things that you can eat and make a salad, how to like harvest certain animals, if that's your thing, how to do woodworking, everything you would need to do to survive by yourself with no external resources or government or fiat currency.
That's something I'd love to do.
And it's like these if people that should definitely check out Garnet School. They're amazing.
What is it called?
Garnet School. Garnet. Garnet. Yeah, really awesome. Garnet. They also did like I did like a shooting day there last year or 2 years ago for one of the political.
Are they going to be a Park Fest?
Oh, absolutely. I'll introduce you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, really
I'd love
awesome.
to. You know, I've since COVID happened, I haven't been homesteading in the way that like you see things, but I've
Mhm.
been, raising chickens and I have a garden now with,
Yeah.
all sorts of fruits and vegetables. And I just think it's actually really hard. And you eat like you think, oh, well, if something happens, then I'm gonna, I'm gonna set it up. And it's like, no, you gotta have it long before. And most people just don't have those skills. Most people
Right.
don't have the basic skills to survive. And
Right.
so let's just, build a community. I think, when I look at the Libertarian Party and what it's accomplished in its 50 years that it's been ongoing, I think like TikTok and the homesteading community on TikTok and Instagram has far moved
Mhm.
the needle more than the Libertarian Party ever has. And that's
Right.
saying something. We all want more freedom, but we're not listening to the Libertarian Party and what they're doing. And it's no offense to the Libertarian Party. I mean, it's boring. Have you been to these meetings? It is like point of personal information.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that like, we get lost in all that stuff, but truthfully, like some of like my bigger contributions to liberty have happened outside of the party. Like I've been a member for a very long time. I've been involved. I mean, I just got elected to the LNC literally a week ago. So it's not
congratulations.
like I'm not doing stuff in the party, but I think that like my contributions outside of the party and outside of those official, the official capacity have gone like much further. Like we're out there talking to the community, actually like promoting messages that are libertarian messages, but like maybe the party doesn't want to touch all the way. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's one of those things. Was like um, the LP. It's a lot of business, right? And some state affiliates do things a
Everyone.
little bit more unorthodox than others, but we can't make an impact unless we go out and actually talk to people and
Right.
we actually go meet them where they're at and talk to them about things that they're interested in on a real level, like on a way that like, we're kind of like matching their, because we're weird. I say this every show, but we're weird. Like we have weird ideas and like we need to learn how to talk to people better and actually
Nobody
go out and
is
reach them.
born with this notion of freedom. It
Right.
is wild, but you just don't know the concept of freedom really until it kind of I mean, and maybe there's one like weird person. There's a Terrence Howard that remembers being in his
Mm.
mother's belly. Like, you know what I mean? But everybody else, when you discover freedom and you're like, what? What do you mean? It's a beautiful concept and we have to just wake people up to that. It's like the Matrix. We're all asleep. We're all just kind of grinding through life. You get a job and you go every day and you're on the hamster wheel. You need to wake people up. And we're not doing that by insulting each other on the internet. We really
Mhm.
aren't. And we're not creating
Although that is
community.
pretty fun, but it's not how we're getting shit done.
It's not fun for the long haul,
It's
like
not, right, it's
it's
not
not
productive at all.
at
Like,
all.
I can be troll sometimes when I need to be online, but, like, like, at the same time, I understand, like, we all have to
I've toned it
actually,
down.
this is what I'm saying, though, is, like, like, we go out to DC and, there was definitely it was tense, like, there was some tension going on, you could feel the energy was kinda weird the whole time, um, but, like, there's also plenty of people that I've had arguments with online came up and shook my hand like, "Hey, man, I know we disagree on things, but I really wanted to shake your hand and meet you. You seem like a cool guy." And like, like we'd have an actual conversation. I like people that I never thought I would have a conversation with in real life came up to me, and I mean, and I reciprocated and went to some other people too that I've had disagreements with, and tried to
No
like
bigger
kind of, I guess, bury
disagreement
the hatchet.
than the
But
one
if
that
we just have
Angela
a
McArdle and
conversation,
I had, and I think that, like, we made our pieces. We're like,
mm,
it doesn't matter anymore, really.
yeah,
And I have to say, so many people came up to me and were like, "Hey, we're sorry about, these fights." And I'm like,
yeah.
water under the bridge. Like,
I don't
let's
even remember half of the fights. Let's
neither
be
do
honest
I.
about it. Like, there's like Twitter's like a 1 day fight, and then I forget what
Me too.
happened, right? And so it's
These
like,
guys have the worst memory. Thank weed for that.
there you go. But yeah, it was all good, and like I said, like tons of people from all different factions. I'm not really a factional person. I do the emo caucus, and that's it. But I do think that like
But
when you
everyone's
actually go out.
welcome.
Yeah. Yes. And you go out and meet people, like it's just turns out people like, are real. And Pork Fest is a great example of this too. I know
I
you're
love
coming up to
Pork
Pork Fest in a couple
I
of weeks.
loved it. My first time was last year, and I
Yeah,
had been avoiding going to Pork Fest. And I'm like, I don't want to go camping. Like that's not my thing.
right.
Look at me. Like I live in Miami. I need my nails done. I need a shower every day. Like no. And last year, Lynn Ross's mom was like, I'm gonna go to Pork Fest. Maybe you should come with me. And I was like, "Oh, fine. And I absolutely loved it. So for anyone that's thinking
Amazing.
about
Yeah.
it, just get your butt to Rogers Campground. It is so much fun.
Are you
And
going for the full week or for part week or?
I have plans. I booked my ticket for the whole week. I mean, it's
Sweet.
like my vacation this year. I'm not taking any vacations. I just closed down my business. There's not enough money, so this is
Yeah.
my vacation this year. I'm going to Pork Fest, and it's going to
Well,
be
I hope that you'll come by the Emo Hub. We got a lot of cool events, and I'm going to be at the pavilion a couple of times. I am debating some vegans on Tuesday. Yeah, they were like, "Hey, like, will you like these people are like trying to find someone to debate on like the morality of veganism and why you shouldn't eat meat and why that's libertarian." And I'm like,
What?
I've been a lifelong hunter, and I also like only pretty much eat ethically
You could
harvested
win
meat.
that debate in like 2.5 seconds with like, the wild boar. Like wild
Yeah,
boar, a pig is like super cute and friendly, but if it grows up in the wild, it's like this
they're wild.
savage.
Yeah, they're insane. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
they'll just
hunted
like
wild
murder
boar before.
people
Yeah,
and all sorts of things. And it's like you need to control the population of wild pigs. Being a vegan in this case makes no sense because what are you going
right.
to do? Just kill them and leave them there? No,
I
eat them.
support people's right to veganism. That's
Oh,
fine.
absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm like
Count me
you
out.
can't tell me that it's like somehow like immoral to eat meat. Like I like I said, like I harvest meat the most moral and humane way possible as being a lifelong hunter, and also harvesting or going to like local farms that treat their animals right and they don't give them all kinds of chemicals and all this stuff right. That's the way to do it. All
I wish
right.
I was
And
a hunter.
like I hope that a bunch of people show up to the debate and are just eating bacon the entire time. Like I want to smell bacon the entire time I'm on stage. I don't even know how I got roped into this, but it happened. So we're
Go
debating
bacon.
the
I
morality of
mean, also
veganism.
bacon is delicious, honestly.
Yeah.
I actually so like the chickens I have on my property, my kids don't like to harvest them
Mm,
because they're pets.
right.
And so we have wild chickens that just like showed up. I don't even know where they came from. So the males, they just lay eggs. My yard is like Easter egg hunt every other day. Like you'll like look around and be like, "Oh, look, there's an egg." So when the wild chickens hatch their eggs and we didn't catch their nest, they're just all over the place. So the males grow up and I'm like, "That's dog food."
There you
We make
go.
dog food out of it. I'm like, nope, those are, but I want to learn how to, harvest rabbits and other
Yeah.
animals because, guys, if it wasn't that long ago that we lived through COVID where, oh, there's no chicken and there's no pork and there's
Mhm.
no this. And it's going to happen again. If one thing we know is that the government isn't going to stop being the government. So learn how to do all these things, learn to self sustain. Again, I have 4 kids and that's what freaks me out over COVID. I was like, I need to be able to feed these people because I'm not about to watch them starve. So
Mm. No, I
y'all gotta
mean,
do something about it.
like I think that there's probably something about to being a parent and wanting to provide for your kids that like make you want to be able to like be just that much more like ready for when those times come. That like we just lived through something 2 years ago and it wasn't apocalypse, but we did have the grocery stores basically shut down. There was nothing in the shelves and people couldn't get toilet paper for 2 months. You know what I mean? And that was a crisis for a lot of people. So
Wild,
you
wild.
know
Guys, there's water. It's amazing. You know, you don't need toilet
right.
paper.
Right.
Of
It's called
all
a
the things
bidet.
to be upset about. That was wild. Bidets are a thing. You can get a little
Mhm.
hose. You can use a cup. Like, come on. Paper is
Way
like
more
the like,
hygienic too. Like that's the good stuff. Yeah, I hope you find a place with a nice bidet at Pork Fest, Martha.
I'm gonna be staying at a home nearby. So I
Okay,
don't know that
cool.
there's bidets, but at least it'll at least have a shower.
All right.
And a
Yeah,
bed.
there you go. Well, I am definitely looking forward to seeing you at Pork Fest, and hanging out, talking a bit.
Likewise. Are
I
you
hope
throwing
that
any
you'll
parties?
what was that?
Are you throwing any parties?
Oh, I have a hub there, so I've got a whole week full of parties. So We're going to have like a couple DJ nights. I've got the pavilion for another emo night like last year, which was like supposedly the highlight of the whole week. So I wanted to bring that back. We're going to do punk rock karaoke again, which I hope you pick a song so that you can come and sing.
I don't think.
Just do tequila then. You only need to know 4 words.
No, you don't want me to sing. I'll support everybody else and I'll dance and I'll have a good time. I'll probably, whatever. I'll do whatever y'all want, but please don't make me sing. Listen, I'm not a singer. You don't want to hear me sing.
All right. That's fair. And lots of stuff, like full days worth of stuff. I'll definitely like let you know what we're doing. But looking forward to hanging out with you again. Before we wrap up, I guess tell everybody where they can find your stuff. And then we'll wrap it up.
Sounds good. So if anybody is into Delta 8, you can find my Delta 8 at ourgood.com. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Bueno for Miami. Kept the handle, even though I'm not running for office anymore. You never know. So Bueno for Miami on those two. And that's pretty much it. I've been kicked off of Facebook. I've been kicked off of TikTok. So just Instagram and Twitter for now.
It's all them spicy OnlyFans videos you were posting.
Actually, it was the OnlyFans that got me kicked out of.
Was it really? No way. That's so ridiculous.
I mentioned OnlyFans on TikTok. I was like, oh, I'm gonna like post something on OnlyFans. Go check it out. And they knocked they torpedoed my account.
That is wild. Wow. Okay. Well, I'll put you backstage real quick. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope everyone will check out your website and all that stuff. And I'll talk to you in just a minute. I'll wrap up the show. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching tonight. I hope this was a great show for you guys. Martha's awesome. And I really hope all of you guys can come to PorkFest and meet her, hang out with me, talk to Garnet School, which is what we talked about a little bit tonight. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Bye.